When Invincible got stuck with Batman in the DC universe, we open on a jagged, rain-slicked Gotham City skyline. The atmosphere is suffocating, lit only by the flickering neon of a dying city. Batman is perched atop a weathered stone gargoyle, looking less like a man and more like a permanent shadow carved from the architecture. Hovering just a few feet away, Mark Grayson, Invincible, drifts casually in the air, his bright costume a jarring contrast to the gloom. Mark scans the horizon, trying to break the heavy rhythmic sound of the downpour. So, this is Gotham. I've seen some rough dimensions, but this place, it's dark. Honestly, it's a little depressing. Batman doesn't even flinch, his cape doesn't even rustle in the wind. Mark tries to force a smile, his voice echoing off the brickwork. Hey, I'm just making conversation. I mean, I could fly to the other side of the globe in 5 minutes, but I'm standing here, well, floating here, trying to get to know my partner for this mission. Slowly the dark night turns, the white lenses of his cowl narrowing into a cold, predatory glare. It's my city, Grayson, and I've found that Gotham requires constant, unwavering vigilance, not floating around admiring the view like a tourist. Batman's voice is a low, dangerous rumble. A tactical partnership is built on competence, not idle chatter. I watched your performance against those thugs. You were sloppy. Mark is instantly caught off guard, his flight stabilizing as he grows defensive. You watched the whole thing, and so what? I handled it. No one got hurt. He pauses, looking away at the rain-streaked streets below. Well, mostly no one. The tension spikes instantly. Batman steps off the gargoyle, landing with a heavy metallic thud. He marches forward, pointing a gloved finger straight at Mark's chest, completely intimidated by the boy who could throw a skyscraper. You fight with raw, unchecked power, Mark Grayson. But you have zero discipline. You're a child swinging a god's hammer with his eyes closed. Mark bristles, pointing right back, his voice rising. I'm still learning. My dad, he was the one who taught me, but he's gone now. I'm doing the best I can. Batman's eyes remain fixed. That's not what I'm asking. You're a phantom in my database. Who are you? Where do you truly come from? The mention of his father hits Mark like a physical blow. The memory of Nolan, Omni-Man, flashes across his mind. I'm from another dimension. My father was Nolan Grayson, Omni-Man. He was the greatest hero my world ever knew. He taught me everything about our heritage, about Viltrum. Mark's voice cracks, filled with a bitter sense of betrayal. We thought he was our protector, the world's greatest shield. Batman, ever the analyst, doesn't offer sympathy, he simply processes. Omni-Man, extra-dimensional power tier, noted. Mark's face drops, tears beginning to well up behind his goggles. But it was a lie, all of it. The Viltrumites, they aren't protectors. They're a race of conquerors. I thought I was part of something noble, but I was just a tool for an empire. He loved my mother, I know he did, but he still tried to break me. Batman ruthlessly cuts through the emotion, demanding focus. Enough diversions. What dimension? Why are you here? You aren't here just to do good. You're running. What are you running from? Mark finally breaks. The invincible hero collapses inward, tears streaming down his face. I'm a half-breed, a Viltrumite refugee, and my dimension my home. It has nothing left but monsters and ash. He chokes on the words, his shoulders shaking. I'm here because I'm a refugee from my own life. I just wanted to do something right before I became one of them. Batman doesn't back down. He pushes for the tactical reality. You said you didn't have a choice. Detail the threat, Grayson. Who did this to you? Mark buries his face in his hands, the image of a scarred face haunting him. It was Angstrom Levy. He can tear holes between worlds. He sees everything, every version of me. Mark looks up, his expression hollow. He thinks my home is the wrong dimension. He hates me for the sins of 1,000 other Marks, for the worlds I burned in timelines I've never even seen. A terrifying image of Levy harnessing the multiverse fills the space between them. He didn't just come for me, he went back to my home. He has my family, my mom, my little brother. Mark covers his mouth, a sob escaping. He threw me into a portal, and as it closed, I saw him smile. He went for my mother. He told me I'd hear their screams across the void. He wanted me to know I was helpless. Batman, I don't even know if they're still alive. Batman absorbs the horror without a flinch, his mind already deconstructing the villain's psychology. Vendetta leveraging a dimensional void used as a psychological anchor. It's a classic strategy to isolate the primary target by strike at their vulnerabilities. You're right, Mark. In this moment, you have no control. Batman's eyes narrow with a fierce iron resolve, which means we're going to have to create some. Mark is spiraling, clutching his goggles. I can't. He's too smart. He's already won. Batman steps forward, his boots crunching on the gravel. He places a firm, heavy hand on Mark's shoulder. Invincible. Mark, look at me. Stop scanning the stars and look at me. Mark meets his gaze. You have a choice. You can concede to the tragedy, or you can use the pain. I know this ground, kid, better than you can imagine. The atmosphere shifts into a suffocating darkness as Bruce allows a glimpse into his own soul. When I was 8 years old, I watched a man gun down my parents in a dark alley. I watched the light leave their eyes for a few pearls and a handful of cash. Mark freezes, his tears stopping in shock. Your parents? How did you even survive that? Batman's expression is made of absolute granite. I didn't let the loss destroy me. I chose to take that fear, that absolute paralyzing helplessness, and turn it into a weapon. I built a life out of that pain. You have that same choice right now. We will create the control. This is your new starting line. They sit together on the edge of the roof, looking out over the flickering lights of the city. Bruce finally lowers his guard just an inch. My parents were my past, but they aren't my vulnerability anymore. My family is my present. It started with Alfred, my butler. Mark looks confused. A butler? He sounds like he was important. Batman nods, a ghost of a memory in his eyes. He was everything. After the alley, he became my father, my mother, and my only tether to a world that made sense. Then came Dick Grayson, another orphan of tragedy. My ward. Bruce looks out into the rain. I thought I could forge him into a weapon that wouldn't break. I wanted a partner who wouldn't be consumed by the shadow. I wanted a family I couldn't lose. He became Robin. Grayson is my greatest strength. He reminded me why I fight. Batman turns back to Mark. The vulnerabilities, Mark, are the only things that keep us human. We create the control for them, all of them. But then his voice drops an octave. Levy wants you paralyzed. He wants the distance to break your will. It's a tactic I've seen before, and the fault was entirely mine. A haunting image of a bloody crowbar and a red helmet flashes by. Batman's voice is thick with regret. Another ward, Jason. He was defiant, headstrong, a mirror of my own anger that I didn't recognize until it was too late. He was taken by a monster, not a god from another dimension, just a man with a sick smile. That failure cost me everything. Batman scowls. I thought my detachment was my strength. I thought I could control the fire. My hubris was the flaw. He grips Mark's shoulder tighter. Levy isn't just taking your control, he's waiting for you to surrender it. The second you give in to hopelessness, he wins. Not by killing you, but by breaking the man who would have stopped him. That is the lesson. Mark's posture straightens. The despair in his eyes is replaced by a cold Viltrumite fire. Batman tells him, we don't choose our tragedies, but we choose how they define us. We're going to find him, Mark, because we have no other choice. The heavy fog finally seems to lift. Mark takes a deep, steadying breath. Levy was wrong. He wanted to isolate me, but I feel different. Ready. A long, silent beat passes. Then Mark shifts the vibe, a small, genuine smile returning to his face. Hey, since we're sharing, I never really got your name. And what's your whole deal? What are your powers? Do you fly? Heat vision? Super strength? There is a long deadpan silence from Batman. Mark chuckles, gesturing at the suit. Come on, Batman is a title, and disappearing into shadows doesn't count as a power. Batman finally speaks, his tone completely flat. My name is Bruce Wayne. My power is a very specific, highly motivated form of human potential. Mark blinks, his jaw dropping in comedic disbelief. Wait, you're just a guy? No super soldier serum, no alien DNA, just a guy in a suit who can vanish? He looks Bruce up and down. How is that even possible? Mark puts a hand to his chin, pacing in midair. Wait. Let me get this straight. You have zero powers? None? Like zero? Batman remains stoic. A power is just a capability, Grayson. I have many. Technology, forensic intelligence, decades of mastery. Those are far more flexible than brute force. Mark's eyes go wide. But those thugs, they were heavy hitters. I saw you standing in the middle of that crossfire. You were just analyzing them? That's not humanly possible. He looks down at his own hands, bewildered. This is surreal. You're just a regular human, a very, very scary human, but regular. This changes everything. Mark shakes his head, still processing. The power is the knowledge, the tech. You're just Bruce. Batman just stares. Mark mutters, okay, this is surreal. But what about the villains? If you're just a man, does Batman kill them? I mean, wouldn't that make things easier? Batman doesn't hesitate. Kill them? No, that solves nothing. It creates martyrs and vacuum-sealed power struggles. Justice is about the institution of law, not the finality of execution. The air on the roof turns frigid as the philosophical hammer drops. Batman stands like a statue. Every life, no matter how corrupted, holds a sliver of potential. If I kill them, I become the final judge. That is a line I cannot cross. Mark clenches his fists, the memory of the Omni-Man strike against Invincible and general kill count in Invincible universe burning in his gut. But some people are beyond potential. How many people die because you refuse to make the hard call? Doesn't that blood end up on your conscience? Batman crosses his arms. I carry every life lost in this city, that's why I'm still out here. But killing one makes me part of the very system they created. Our rules are what prevent us from becoming the monsters we hunt. Mark throws his hands up, flying higher in frustration. The system is broken, Bruce. The villains I face, they don't go to Blackgate, they crack planets in half. How does a rule about institution help when the world is gone? Batman steps toward the edge, looking like a masterclass in heroism. Justice is about the institution of hope, Invincible. Execution only plants the seeds for new villains to grow from the ashes. We are here to inspire, not to eliminate. Mark looks down, silenced by the sheer weight of Batman's conviction. He whispers, I hear you, Batman, I do. But I really hope you never have to see my world and have to ask yourself if you made the right call. The debate settles into a respectful silence. Mark looks out at the endless crime-ridden labyrinth of Gotham. So you manage all of this alone, just constant, exhausting vigilance? A subtle shift crosses Batman's face. The city? Yes, that requires a tactical human understanding. But the world? Some problems are simply too big for one man. Mark smirks, his old confidence returning. Too big? Like me? Batman cracks the smallest, rarest of smiles. They help when the scale becomes unmanageable. I have associates. Batman steps back onto the gargoyle, preparing to disappear into the night. My city, my rules. Now, Grayson, detail the threat. How are we going to take back control? Mark rubs his eyes, the exhaustion of the multiverse still there, but his resolve is set. I'll tell you everything. Levy's tech, the variants, the coordinates. But what about the rule? Batman stares him down. You said you had no choice. We'll find a way to give you one, but remember the line. Then Bruce drops a final bombshell. And if you ever feel that burden is too heavy for a human to understand, go find a man named Clark Kent. Superman can teach you everything you need to know about absolute restraint. The screen fills with a legendary image of the Man of Steel, confirming Mark is truly in the heart of the DC universe. Suddenly, the night is shattered by a burst of radio static. Batman doesn't say goodbye. He fires his grapple gun and vanishes into the rain. Gotham calls. The line has to hold. And that is how the meeting of the century ends. Mark Grayson has a new mentor, a new mission, and a whole new outlook on what it means to be a hero. But now I have to ask you, who is right? Is Batman's no-kill rule the ultimate form of strength, or is Mark right that some monsters are just too dangerous to leave alive? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, share and subscribe for the next chapter of this epic crossover.